Because we cannot do otherwise.
That's true. We can't not write. That's why we're writers. Otherwise, we probably wouldn't be writers.
I know.
No, but we've been writing together since 1979. That's 35 years. So, we've been at it a long time.
Much.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, when you're a writer, when you're a freelance writer, you write what you can get. You know?
That's true. But right now, we pretty much write novels and screenplays. So that's where we've come to after 35 years.
Yeah.
Don't become a writer because you want to get rich, because chances are that won't happen. But if you're lucky, you get published. And if you're luckier still, you get an audience. And that's really what you want. Somebody to read what you write. That
Always
question
something.
about how am I going to do that again? How am I ever going to do that again? But you're not really doing it. That's the whole thing.
Yeah.
You think it's you, but it's not really you. It's something that comes through you. You just have to be open enough to let it through. And that's the hard part, really.
But see, there's really nothing to be scared about.
No.
This is for you first-time writers. You don't have to be afraid of it, because even guys like William Faulkner and Ernest Hemingway they were just as scared as you were. The difference was they just did it.
They just
And
did it, right.
Like playing the piano, you get...
Usually come up with an idea together, and then in the morning we'll get together and we'll plot a chapter. You know, we'll just knock ideas back and forth until we have whatever is going into that particular chapter, and then Bruce goes upstairs and spends several hours writing it. And then when he's done writing it, I read it and we talk about it.
And she tears it up.
And then we plot the next chapter the next day until we have 30 chapters and the book is done. And then I generally do a take on it. I'll read what he's written and go over it and edit it, and then he'll go over it and edit it, and then I'll go over it again and format it, and that's the way it goes. It usually takes us 3 or 4 months to do a novel.
Mm-hmm.
But we've been doing a lot of series books, so we already know the characters, we already know pretty much the relationships between the characters, so they're not as difficult. Doing, when Bruce writes an original novel, when he writes a horror novel or a sci-fi novel or a thriller, that is a standalone, that takes a little longer, it's a little more intense, because he's starting from scratch. And usually we use the same process for those, generally speaking. You can talk now.
I was just having a terrible day, and that was a night class, so I was having an even more terrible night. And he came by my easel and said, how are you doing? And you could tell that I wasn't doing well. I said, not very well. And he said, go home. And he meant it. In other words, if you're not having fun with it, why are you here? Stop and start tomorrow, you'll have more fun. And you'll do better work. So that stuck with me, and I think that's largely true. I think you should have fun with what you're doing and enjoy it, and that's what you should want to do. Because if you don't, it probably will show. And it's like riding a bicycle. If you get out of your way and don't push yourself, just let it kind of come, then.
Stay there until something does happen. You don't.
Well, no one's
just
going to do it
slough
for
off,
you.
right.
I mean, it has to happen. So, yeah, I am disciplined, I suppose, but I think I trick myself into believing that that's helping.
When I was a kid, I just loved to read, and I read all the best authors and all the best literature I could read, and gradually I think I absorbed that. I absorbed grammar that way. I absorbed storytelling that way. I learned to tell a story by listening to so many stories.
Said, I think there will always be people who are addicted to reading, just as there are people who are addicted to writers, which is why I think there'll always be writers and there'll always be readers. They may occupy a smaller and smaller place in the scheme of things, but there is something special about the craft, or if you will, the art of writing, that is unlike the movie, unlike the gaming systems, unlike riding a horse. It's there's something that's very special about what happens between the written
tell
word.
stories, you'll tell stories. And whether you're doing it with writing or with filmmaking or with photographs or with paintings or however you're doing it, it will come out. You won't be able to stop it. I think most kids are that way naturally.